Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. Day 2 of a recipe series that I don't have a name for. I really don't know what to call it. It's recipes that use what's in your pantry in this stressful time. So if you're watching this in 2050, very far off in the future, and you're wondering what I'm on about, it is March 2020, and the world is currently in the grips of a global pandemic, a virus that's causing a little bit of panic around the world in certain places, and a lot of governments are asking people to stay inside, to social distance or self-quarantine or avoid large crowds, and it's led to a lot of panic buying in different places. And so some people can't get out to grocery stores at all, and other people are getting out to grocery stores and finding that the shelves are empty. I know that we went out on the weekend to get some, basic staples that we needed, like milk and eggs, and found that the grocery store shelves had been completely cleaned out. People are panic buying. Don't panic buy. There is no need to panic buy. It's not a great thing to do. So we always have dried chilies in our cupboard. This is a dried ancho chili. I took off the stem, poured out the seeds, and I'm sticking this into a pot of really hot water. It's going to come up to a boil, and I just want to cook that long enough to soften the chili. Now, if you don't have chili peppers, dried chili peppers, in your cupboard, there's lots of, you're not supposed to touch your face, and I just touched my face. Pandemic fail. Total pandemic fail. Anyway, if you don't have dried chili pepper like I do, you could use, spice mixes. This one is a Tex-Mex spice mix. You could use regular chili powder. This is our homemade taco powder mix, spice mix. So you could use this as well, or you could use an already made up taco spice in the packets. Any dried chili powder will do. It's not authentic. This is not trying to be an authentic recipe. This is just sort of a make-do recipe because you're locked in your house and you don't know what's happening. So like I said, this is not a traditional recipe. This is a make-do variation on a recipe that Julie and I really enjoy to eat when we go to Mexico. In the wintertime, we'll go down to Mexico. We'll go to a little town called Puerto Morales, and 3 or 4 of the restaurants in this little town make a bean soup like this. Same sort of flavor profiles. So I'm riffing on that in order to do it with what's on hand. So I've got a can of tomatoes in here. You could use any tomatoes you want. I've got 2 onions and a piece of garlic, and that goes into the blender. Next in is the pepper. It has cooked and softened, so I'm going to fish that out of the pot, and into the blender it goes as well. Now normally I would make this with fresh tomatoes, and I would cook the tomatoes skin on in the pot of water with the pepper. And that gives a really nice flavor to everything. But in this case, who knows? We'll see what happens. I think it'll be just fine. And then I want to put in about a cup of the cooking liquid from the pepper. There's a lot of flavor in that. So we're going to put this in here, and I'm going to blend to liquefy. We've built a lot of flavor in that blender. Now I've got a stock pot on. I want to put it on a medium-high heat. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in the bottom, whatever oil you like to use. And I've got some cumin seed. And I just want to put the cumin seed in here and fry it a little bit just to toast it. You don't want it to burn. You just want to toast it to release some of the oils and the flavor. Now, if your pot is hot, this won't take very long at all. You'll smell it, and you'll know that it's changed. And as soon as you get that smell, in goes the tomato. Now you want to bring this up to a boil, and you want it to boil for 10 or 15 minutes. Bring together all of the flavors. It will also reduce a little bit. It's not going to reduce a whole lot, but you might bring a deeper, richer flavor to it just by boiling it off. Now, while that is boiling, let's move on to the beans. We're going to put the blender back together. I'm using canned beans, and I'm using a mix of canned beans because I only had a mix of canned beans. Traditionally, I believe this would be made with dried pinto beans that you would soak overnight, you would boil in a pot, and then you would blend them up. If you want to go that route, if what you have are dried beans, do that. I'm going to put in 3 cans of beans. So 1 can of pinto beans, I'm going to put in a half can of pinto beans. I'm going to hold back a half can that I'm not going to blend. And then these are black-eyed peas, and I'm going to put in a half can again and hold some back. Traditionally, this seems to be a completely smooth soup. When I've made it at home, I really like having beans, whole beans in it, just to add a little bit of extra texture. I really like that texture difference. Now, if you cooked your beans from dry, I would put in 2 cups of the liquid that you cooked the beans in here to help blend it. As I'm using canned beans, I'm going to put in 2 cups of the liquor from cooking the chili pepper. Now, if you don't have 2 cups of liquid left over from the chili pepper, you could just use water, or you could use some of the stock that we're going to use later in the recipe. So, lid on and blend. Okay, the tomatoes are bubbling away pretty nicely here, bubbling all over the countertop. So I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit, and in go the beans, the pureed beans. Oh, lovely. I'm going to put in the whole beans, just for texture. And a little bit of oregano, just to kind of round out the flavor. We just stir this to bring it all together. Now, at this point, this is where cooking is cooking. This is where, as you're standing in the kitchen, you need to decide what to do next. If this soup mix seems too thick to you, add some stock. You could use chicken stock or pork stock. You could use vegetable stock. You could make this completely vegan by using vegetable stock. And it's absolutely fantastic that way. If you think that the consistency is just fine and you don't want to add any stock, you don't have to add any stock. You could add water if you wanted to. I'm looking at this and thinking, I'm on the fence, but I might add a little bit of chicken stock after it bubbles away for about 20 minutes, which is the time it's going to take to bring all of those flavors together. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends. I brought some of the 1 gallon beer to go with our soup.
Yes. So if you haven't seen this video yet, we did an at-home 1 gallon brew of beer.
Crack her open?
Crack it open. Let's see.
Woo! I love that sound.
So we did get a bit of carbonation on that. Not as much as expected because I screwed up the amount of sugar to put in for the carbonation.
Well, this one seems a little better.
That one seems better.
That's the thing, when you do when you do individual bottles, they're each a little different.
Each a little bit different. Okay, so.
I'm looking forward to this one.
This is great if you've got some time at home because you can order everything online. It'll come to your house and you can try to make some beer. But the soup, so as it stands, this soup is vegan or vegetarian. I didn't add any of the stock. I didn't feel that I needed to add any of the chicken stock. And which
is great, because sometimes you don't have stock in the house.
You don't have stock in the house. You could use water if you want to. I think there's enough flavor from the other things that would be fine.
That's super creamy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, dress it up on top with other things. Creme fraiche, sour cream, a little bit
yogurt,
of cheese.
Whatever you got, my friend.
Crumple in some nacho chips.
Oh yeah, that'd be really good.
Yeah.
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 Tea biscuit on the side?
Or just toast. I just like it with toast.
Options.
Great.
And?
Beer's tasty. It really is tasty. I mean, for something that you make in your kitchen on the stovetop, it's pretty good. Of course, it's just a beginning beer, and then you progress to other things. So, just riff on this recipe. You don't need to make it exact. You can play with it. You can play with whatever you've got in your kitchen. Use whatever beans you've got, whatever you've got in your pantry.
If you've got dried beans, you can just
Yep.
soak them, cook them, throw them in.
Whatever stock you've got. You don't have stock, use water. Whatever tomatoes you have. There's so much that you can. This is a base, and then just play with it and make it. And the spicing you can change. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.